Throughout time, roller coasters have come and gone. Only some become legends for their intensity and thrills. Each and every year, coaster fans like you venture to the parks, searching for that one special ride that stands out above the rest. You submitted your rankings, and now it's time to reveal the group of elite roller coasters that you have voted as the best of the best. COASTER-net is proud to present the 2016 Thrilling 32.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of COASTER-net Uncut. It is the 2016 Thrilling 32 Bracket Challenge. We're down to our final four in our wood bracket and our final four of our steel bracket, and tonight we find out who the top two are and who is going at it for all the marbles. I am Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York, alongside the man, the myth, the legend, the Raptor-loving Andy Rabarchek from Chicago, Illinois. How's it going, Andy?
You know, Danny, I've been waiting. I remember back in November when you first posted the poll, and the question was, what roller coasters would make it to this point tonight? Tonight, we finally find out what two coasters, what two wood, what two steel, make it in to the championship dance to see who will ultimately be crowned the Thrilling 32 champion. But tonight, like I said, the final four, we've got some great matchups ahead of us. And as always, we get into the wood first. And I think these wood coasters are the best four selected that you could possibly select, because they just happen to be my top four wooden coasters. Well
yes,
done.
They do.
Well
and
done,
I'll tell you
poll
what,
makers.
Yeah, the people that you've been calling fools this whole time ended up getting it right, according to you, in the end. So isn't that funny how that works out? But yes, I think, you have your Cinderellas come out in the first round, maybe the first two rounds, but we're down to the heavy hitters now. It's all about the big boys now, the perennial favorites, as we like to say. They're all here. So let's jump into it. The first semifinal matchup in the wood bracket, we've got Outlaw Run going up against Phoenix. Outlaw Run from Silver Dollar City in Missouri, and the Phoenix from Knoebels Amusement Resort in Aylesburg, Pennsylvania. Outlaw Run, the champion 2 years ago, the runner-up last year, as you can see on our side-by-side comparison. And then Phoenix, very first year, coming in at number 6. Then in 2013, went up a spot to number 5. Last year came in at number 7. So Phoenix has been very consistent right around that number 6, number 5, 6, 7 mark. And then Outlaw Run, its first 2 years, was consistently right there towards the top. So what are you thinking here, Andy? I know these are two coasters that you like very much, two coasters that I like very much. I know you slightly prefer Outlaw Run. I slightly prefer Phoenix. So you and I are a nice even split on this one.
Well, I'll be honest, at this point, since these are my top four wood coasters, I'm going to have to go with my rankings on this one. As much as I love Phoenix, and as much as I think the moniker of the only wooden stand-up roller coaster is true, I just think Outlaw Run is that one step above. There's a lot of people out there that have Outlaw Run ranked as their number one overall wooden coaster. And when I look at this matchup here, I'm looking specifically at Phoenix's run, a 6, a 5, a 7. And then I look at Outlaw Run's, past performance. I see a 1, I see a 2. I just think Outlaw Run has the edge, has that little bit more. I don't think Phoenix has taken on a number of huge new supporters in this year's poll. So I'm going to have to give my edge to Outlaw Run.
Right, well, and that makes good sense, and I think maybe the people watching now would think that as well. It is Outlaw Run knocking off Phoenix here in the first semifinal matchup. As much as I love my Phoenix, Outlaw Run is certainly a certainly a deserving coaster to be back in the championship for now the third year in a row, all 3 years since Outlaw Run has debuted in 2013 and has now made it to the championship game, won in its very first year and then coming in second last year. So an opportunity to take the crown back is Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City. So now we move on to the other semifinal matchup, and now we find out, do we have a third consecutive year of Outlaw Run versus Voyage in the finals, or does El Toro make its first ever appearance in the finals? That is what we have here right now. El Toro from Six Flags Great Adventure versus Voyage from Holiday World. And if you look at our comparison here, this could not get any tougher, I don't think. El Toro in 2012 coming in at number 3, in 2013 coming in at number 4, and then last year coming in at number 3 again overall. Although El Toro did have to play Voyage early on last year, and Voyage, as you can see, ranking coaster, Voyage came in at number 2 in 2012 behind Boulder Dash. Then came in number 2 again in 2013, but had beaten Boulder Dash, but lost out to Outlaw Run in the finals. And then last year, 2014, Voyage was the overall champion, beating Outlaw Run. So Voyage is looking for a third against Outlaw Run, but El Toro has kind of finally made it to this semifinal matchup, looking to make it to its first finals ever.
This matchup here, Voyage El Toro, this is the one that people like to talk about the most, that you have two roller coasters that opened in the same year. Am I correct on that both of them opened?
Yeah, same year, only a few weeks apart, really. I mean, and it's been a big debate from day one.
Having just seen Batman versus Superman, this is kind of like that matchup for me, that you have the two great superpowers. Now, keep in mind, though, when you look at this, El Toro has always come out the loser in this contest, not even making it to a championship match ever in its history, I believe, correct? Was it ever in the championship matchup?
That is correct.
No,
it's never been higher than number 3.
So here, and then Voyage is the perennial favorite. I think, once again, I got to go back to my rankings, and I go back to that, and I got to pick Voyage once again, because I feel that Voyage is going to top El Toro for another year. Now, if El Toro wins, I will not be colored surprised, because, maybe we finally have enough of that East Coast contingent voting in this poll this year to put it over to the top. I just got to go with my rankings.
Enough Voyage haters.
Exactly. I just got to go with my rankings once again, because so far that's what's gotten me here. So I'm going to have to pick Voyage once again.
Well, in 2012, it was Voyage by 1 spot. In 2013, it was Voyage by 2 spots. Last year, it was Voyage winning the whole thing and beating El Toro out by 2 spots. For the third consecutive year, it will be Voyage versus Outlaw Run in the finals. Voyage knocks off El Toro and ranks higher than El Toro for the 4th consecutive year, all 4 years of this poll now. And Voyage now, even though it has only won this poll once in the first 3 years, it has now been in the championship game all 4 years, and that in itself is quite the accomplishment.
That's quite the streak there, and it's funny that once again we're having this Voyage Outlaw Run matchup. We on the surface you might say, well, Voyage has it in the books, but to be honest with you, we do have a slightly different voting pool this year. We don't quite know where this one's going to go at this point. At this juncture, I believe it's a toss-up. It's any man's game. Voyage, Outlaw Run. I don't think you could have a better championship matchup at this point. Absolutely, 2 coasters. My 1, my 2, by the way, and we now have them in the championship game. Well done, voters. Well done.
Well, you're tipping your cap to him there on the wood coaster side of things, and it's very interesting. We're gonna see, do the people like short, sweet, smooth, and intense, or do they maybe like long, rough, intense sort of rides? Both intense rides, but two very different rides in El Toro and Voyage. Are they like traditional, a little bit more new school? We're certainly going to find that out when we get to the championship games next week. But Voyage versus Outlaw Run, again, we've been saying that for 3 years now here. Voyage versus Outlaw Run is certainly going to be one hell of a matchup to see who comes out on top there. So now, let's get over to your favorites here. We're going to go over to the Steel Final Four, and once again, we've got 4 big-time roller coasters here. Our first semifinal matchup is Expedition GeForce from Holiday Park in Germany going up against Fury 325, the brand new B&M Giga Coaster from Carowinds down there on the North Carolina-South Carolina border. And as you can see here, this is one where there's a lot less data to go off of because Fury, being a new for 2015 coaster, has never been in the poll before. So just by definition, we cannot properly assess where it's going to be, or at least you would think. Expedition GeForce in 2012-2013 did not have the minimum ridership to qualify. Now, last year in 2014, it did, but came in at number 11. So I think, having known that, some people might be a little surprised to see Expedition GeForce come in here. But once again, we saw our voting pool more than triple this year, and we did have international folks voting. So it's really tough to tell just how high Expedition GeForce is, because we can tell you that we had a lot more international voters this year and people who have traveled internationally. So this one's really a toss-up. You've got one that has definitely shifted somewhere in position, but you don't know where to, and another one where we know in Fury 325 has come in pretty high, but is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 5? We don't know. We know it's knocked off the defending champion, so we know it's pretty high, right? Where do you go in this one, Andy?
This one, like you've been saying, this one's real tough to determine. The love for Expedition GeForce is out there. People love this ride. People that question why this ride is in the Final Four probably should go get their head examined, because this is a legit roller coaster for all intents and purposes. From every report you hear, you don't hear a lot of people saying that they don't like this one. Fury, on the other hand, once again, everybody loves Fury, but did enough people go down and ride it and rank it highly enough to actually be meaningfully ranked in this poll? We know it's in the Final Four. We know that. That's obviously fact. Does it have enough to go all the way is the question. Now, when I look at these two coasters, dude, I got to be honest with you. I think the new kid on the block has something special. I think the new kid on the block is going to go at least to the championship. I don't know if it's going to go all the way, but I think it's going to go at least to the championship game, which is going to be a quite impressive feat in its very first year. I believe we've never had that before. Am I correct in that? We've never had, Outlaw Run maybe. Outlaw Run probably.
Well, not in the Outlaw Run, but not in the Steel have we ever had a coaster win in its first year. We had Intimidator 305 in its first year, and then Leviathan won in its second year, and then we went back to Bizarro, an old-time favorite, last year. But we've always seen those 3 coasters kind of battling it out, which is why it's interesting to see Fury and Expedition GeForce jump in here, because you don't know where they fell amongst that top tier.
Absolutely. I'm going to have to give my edge. Once again, going back to my rankings, I'm going to give my edge to Fury 325 on this one.
Well, new kid on the block versus, a coaster that's been around for, 15 plus years and is just a longtime favorite of anyone who's been international and the people who live internationally, especially over there in Germany. Fury 325 is going to the championship matchup. Fury 325, the best new ride of 2015 in pretty much all accounts, is one step away from now being the best ride, period. Fury 325 to the championship matchup. What do you think?
I think it's impressive. Like we said, we've been saying this from the outset, that you don't have a lot of people saying bad things about Fury. The only question has been, has there been enough people to get down to Carowinds that voted in this poll to put it up there? And we know it's in the top 2 spots now. We know it's there. Does it have enough to actually become number 1? We do know that it did not have enough to become number 1 in the Golden Ticket Awards. We know that. Millennium Force still reigns supreme in the Golden Tickets. But the question is, does it have enough to push forward and become the number 1 steel coaster in the Thrilling 32? I might say we just might see a very impressive run here by Fury 325. But before we get there, we got to find out who it's going to be playing in the championship round.
Well, and, we talked a little bit at length about how there was not much to go off of in terms of Expedition GeForce versus Fury 325. That could not be farther from the truth in the other semifinal matchup here. We've got Intimidator 305 from King's Dominion going up against Leviathan from Canada's Wonderland. And look at this side-by-side comparison. If you were to show me this slide at the beginning of this tournament, I would have said, that's your championship matchup right there. Because look at this. In 2012, Intimidator 305 number 1, Leviathan number 2. They saw each other in the championship. A year later in 2013, Leviathan number 1, Intimidator 305 number 2. They saw each other in the championship. Last year, Intimidator 305 number 2, just like it was the previous year, but lost to Bizarro in the championship. Leviathan came up one matchup short as the number 3 coaster last year. Bizarro being knocked off by Fury 325 here. So both of these are previous champions. Leviathan 2 years ago, Intimidator 3 years ago. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. Intimidator ranked higher 2 out of the 3 years. Leviathan 1. Does Leviathan even it up and go to the championship, and then we have an all B&M Giga matchup? Or do we see a battle of 2 coasters that you rode in the same day, and does Intimidator take the 3-1 lead over Leviathan in this, what is slowly becoming a rivalry of 2 Cedar Fair Giga coasters, and we're throwing a third one in the mix with Fury? Millennium Force is kind of left out of all this action here, oddly enough, despite being, the longest reigning, I think you could say, of the bunch. But I know, where do you go on this one? Because these are 2 rides that, did you ride both of these for the first time this past year?
Yes, for the first time this past year, I rode Intimidator 305 in July, and I rode Leviathan in June for Coasting for Kids. So a little bit space in between these 2 rides, for sure. And what's funny is, as close as they are in these previous years that you just saw, they are just as close on my personal rankings. I think 1 or 2 spots separate these 2 rides. If I had to go on a limb, I say Intimidator 305 is number 10 and Leviathan is number 11 for me on my overall rankings for steel coasters. So you're talking about 2 coasters that I put right there next to each other. So the question becomes, where do they go this year? To me, I feel that Leviathan is on a downward trend. That as people ride Fury, they're like, that B&M Giga is the real deal. Leviathan was fun for its day, but I think the Leviathan magic has worn off. I think once people ride Fury, they're going to forget about Leviathan. It's kind of like when you ride Raptor. You forget about all the other inverts in the world because Raptor is number 1. That's what happens. The same thing is going to happen with Leviathan. People are going to forget Leviathan. They're going to go with Fury, and I think Leviathan is going to fall down some lists. But I-305 still pretty unique in the world of roller coasters. So, I'm not in love with I-305. I never have been. It's still ranked pretty highly on my list. But I'm going to give the slight edge to I-305 and I think we're going to see it in the championship round, just like we see Outlaw Run making its fourth consecutive, or not fourth, another consecutive berth in the championship round. I think I305 is going to do the same here.
Yeah, I305 would be making its fourth consecutive, and Outlaw Run is making its third consecutive only because it's only 3 years old.
Yeah.
But you were right on there in terms of since we've been doing this poll, being in the championship match. 2016 Steel Championship matchup will be a battle of the beasts from the southeast. It is Intimidator 305 knocking off Leviathan once again here. So it's Intimidator 305 and Fury 325. In their name. I mean, that is going to be quite a matchup for our championship.
Dude, I've been talking about this possibility for a few weeks now. The fact that I may be the most qualified person to speak on these two rides ever, having ridden one in the morning and one in the evening. I'll tell you what, it's going to be fun. I'm really interested to see, because I know, once again, I know there's a lot of love for I305, but the question is there more love for Fury in our poll? It's going to be fun to see who wins this one. I can't wait to see it, to be honest.
Well, and that's going to be the interesting thing, because these two rides are so close together. You would have to figure that most who have ridden Fury have also ridden I305, and probably vice versa, because a lot of people who make a trip to King's Dominion are probably going to Carowinds as well. They're either close enough, or if they're doing a long road trip and they rode Fury last year, then if they are making a long road trip, they probably snuck King's Dominion in there like you did at some point. Mm-hmm. So you would have to think that maybe there's actually a pretty even ridership between those two, as opposed to like a Fury and Leviathan. So that is going to be very interesting. So before we sign off for the evening, we're actually going to take a very quick look at the standings as they are now, as I have them calculated. Again, once again, if I have made any errors, please email me, Danny Miller at COASTER-net.com, and I will rectify the situation if need be. But if you take a look at our standings, we have the top group here. You can see how everyone is sitting. And then also, we're going to show our winner scenarios in just a second here. But in first place, we have Sandro from Switzerland, currently in first place with 115 total points and 49 correct picks. And then Nicholas in second place with 114 points and 48 correct picks. The only downside for Mr. Nicholas here is that Nicholas cannot win, even though he is in second place, because he is the same two champions as Sandro, Voyage and Fury 325. So unfortunately for Nicholas, even though he's in second place, will not be able to win the contest. So let's take a look at our scenario chart here real quick, based on the 4 different possible outcomes we can have. So if Outlaw Run is our wood champion and Fury 325 is the steel champion, our winner will actually be Eli, who will end up with 139 points and 43 correct picks. Eli is currently sitting in 11th place, but is the highest ranked person who has Outlaw Run and Fury as the champion. So that would be quite an underdog story. Eli, I believe just a round or two ago, was down in the 30s ranking-wise. Really? Eli has had some late picks, including having both of the championship matchups exactly correct. If Outlaw Run wins the wood and Intimidator 305 wins steel, then Jeremy Cole will be our champion with 145 points and 49 picks. Like I mentioned before, if it is the wood champion and Fury is the steel champion, then Sandro will win with 151 points, which would be a new record for this contest, and 51 correct picks overall, which again would be a record. And then finally, if Voyage wins wood and Intimidator 305 wins steel, Gecko Hunter will be our champion with 135 points and 45 correct picks. And Gecko Hunter is all the way down there at number 13 right now. But again, is the highest ranked person currently who has Voyage and Intimidator 305 as their champion. So that's what makes this awfully interesting, is we have two people outside of the top 10 currently that are in contention to still win this contest because they have the more obscure champions picked here.
I have one question for you before we leave here this evening. I have a good friend on Facebook, and I'm just curious as to where he's ranked currently. Could you tell me where Ryan Wilcox is ranked right now?
Oh, yes. Hold on. You're going to have to give me a minute. I have to scroll pretty far down.
Good. My good. Ooh.
No. So Ryan Wilcox, yes, Ryan Wilcox. We like having a lot of fun with Ryan on Facebook. He goes at you pretty hard about Raptors. Senior Ryan Wilcox is ranked number 76 out of 76 participants, and currently has no more coasters left eligible. So Ryan Wilcox has sewn up the cellar dweller position and what we call mystery relevant. And Ryan Wilcox has sewn up last place.
You're telling me that the guy who sits there on Facebook and tells me how bad Raptor is, tells me it's the worst coaster in the world. Well, I got news for you, Ryan Wilcox. You obviously don't know roller coasters, so your opinion is officially invalid. So thank you. Oh, man, I can't wait to post that one all over my Facebook timeline. Oh, yes, you know I am too. Oh well.
No, we like having fun with Ryan. He's we like to pick on him, and he likes to pick on us on Facebook. He's a lot of fun to mess around with, and we have to go at him a little bit here, but Ryan more, he's one of our more faithful fans here, so we got to kind of pick on him a little bit, but once again, we want to thank everyone who has been participating in this. I
just want to be clear. He did not select Raptor as the winner, right? So it's not because of some tomfoolery.
But that wouldn't have been any better for him in his defense.
It would not have. No.
He actually would have had less points.
Yeah.
So we don't want to. So no, but we want to thank Ryan for being such a good sport and participating, and everyone else who has participated in this. It's been a lot of fun thus far, and we are very, very close now. We've got it narrowed down to your 4 people who could possibly win at this point. So we know those 4 folks are going to be glued to their computer screens next week when we reveal the full rankings, our champions, and then the final contest rankings, and we give away our great prize. So do you have any final thoughts before we end the night, Andy?
I'm excited to see who comes out as our champions. It's been a long road for all of us. Finally, we are there. We see the light at the end of the Maverick Tunnel. And it's time to finally figure out who our champions are.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be a lot of fun to find out who wins in just a week. We're excited to finally let the big secret out. So until then, I am Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York.
And I'm Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And we will see you guys for the championship matchups.
Right on, Ride Warriors.
See you next time.